My name's Leo and I'm a boat builder and a sailor, and I spend most of my time working on the 1910 wooden yacht, the Tally-Ho. However, right now I'm back in the UK, and in this video we're going to be catching up with a different project, the Pellew, which is a new replica pilot cutter being built by Luke Powell and his team. So right now I'm in Truro in Cornwall, and today I'm going to be catching up with Luke Powell, who is famous for building pilot cutters, and here in Truro they're building the biggest pilot cutter that he's ever built, and one of the biggest traditional boats to be built in this country for a long time, I think. So we're going to catch up with this progress, and here I am coming to the yard, and here is a magnificent Pellew. Hi Luke.
Nice to see you.
Very good to see you. How are you?
Welcome back to England.
Thank you. Pellew is looking amazing.
Yeah, she's getting good, isn't she?
Yeah, and I hear you're going to be launching pretty soon.
Yeah, we've got the paint on the top sides, the guys are sanding the deck, and we're launching in a month, and so it's all quite exciting.
Fantastic. Do you want to show me around?
I will. Let's go.
Right, let's go.
I've always had a passion for pilot cutters, and the ultimate for me was a vessel called the Vincent, built in St Maurs in 1852. And I'd have made a half model of it and got loads of photographs and various stuff about the boat, but I never really thought I'd get a chance to build it. And then along came a friend of mine and said, why don't I have a go? And set up a training system for young people to learn how to build boats, and in the process make the Vincent, which as I said, for me it's a dream come true. So great project, and we've built this boat. We've called it the Pellew because we wanted to name it after somebody, a local hero. Edward Pellew was a famous sea captain in the Napoleonic times, lived just down the river from here, went to school just up on the hill behind us, and fascinating man, so we thought that gave the boat a bit of stature. But it's basically the Vincent. We've researched it really well, and we've got as close as we can to it. The Pellew is 68 feet long, she's 18-foot beam, 10-foot draft, 74 tons, and sail area, I can't remember now, but it's the mainsail is 1,400 square feet. The height of the rig is about 80 feet. She's 90 foot overall with spars, so that's a big cutter. That's it's basically the same rig as a dinghy, but 90 feet long, and that's what makes her powerful. The one mast driving this 74 tons at breakneck speed. She's built of oak, she's copper fastened. We've built her of the best materials because the investment in building a boat like this is immense, and what we want is a boat that will be durable, last a long time, so that she can get a return on her investment. We don't want a vessel made of soft wood that starts to have problems in a few years. So she's oak on oak, bronze fastened, lead ballast, and the Vincent lasted for 70 years, working day and night for 70 years. So that's pretty impressive. If we can manage that with this boat, we'll be doing well.
Absolutely.
But they worked hard, these boats. This boat will never work as hard as the original boats.
Yeah. Why did you think you'd never get a chance to build the Vincent?
Because she's a big boat. She's 78 feet long. A boat of this size hasn't been built in the West Country for, 80 years or so, and I didn't have the finance to do it, and I couldn't see building one on spec would be too dangerous. There's not a market for such a big boat. But with this project with Brian Payne, we're going to set up the boat as a sail training and charter vessel, And so there's a career that the boat can do that we'll manage. And so in effect, we're building it for trust that we are going to look after. In the open market, I really don't think that we'd find a customer for such a boat. It's too unique. It's a boat from 150 years ago. I just don't think people can imagine owning such a vessel. It's also an extremely difficult vessel to sail. It's got a boom that's the size of a mast, and every time it tacks, it's going to be quite a terrifying experience. They will hear us. It'll be a sonic boom every time we jibe coming off the sillies. It's going to be a vessel we've got to learn to sail, so it's not for the faint-hearted. Well, these boats were built for speed. They were built to be powerful, and yeah, it's going to be an absolute racehorse. Heavy to work, heavy to operate, but really exciting boat. She's the top of her game, and that's why I wanted to build her, because out of all the existing pilot cutters in the country, she really is a league beyond anything anybody knows in living memory. So it's a bit of sort of historical research in a way to take this thing out and experience but learn how the old people used to do it. Well, back along they would have had 8 pilots, a skipper and a boy, and the pilots obviously would help. Everybody had good seamanship. The boy was a strapping lad, but they would put all the pilots off on the ships. Even the skipper would go off on a ship if there was one coming, just leave the boy to bring the boat home on his own. So these vessels would come back sometime 100 miles with just one man on board. And they were tough people.
Even a boat the size of the Pellew?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah.
They take that many pilots at once?
Yes, the Bristol boats were owned by individual pilots for their own activity, but these boats worked for a family or a group of people, and they're big investments, so they were often financed by quite a few people. We're going to operate it with skipper, mate, cook and an apprentice. Well, the mate will be skilled in the ability of sailing it, so the skipper and the mate will be capable. The apprentice will learn damned fast, and the cook can come running on deck when we need a hand. And of course all the guests or trainees will lend a hand with pulling ropes. But the seamanship's going to be spot on operating it. It could do a lot of damage, a boat like this. Yeah. Why should people build boats in wood? Firstly, plastic has to go. Building in wood, people think, oh, you're chopping down trees. Actually, chopping down trees is really good as long as you plant new trees on the same ground. Chopping down trees locks up carbon. New trees suck in more carbon than old trees. Trees should be seen as a long-term crop and not left to rot in the fields. And this boat has captured carbon, and it will do so as long as it stays alive. And the land that grew the trees that made this boat, hopefully, and that's the tricky thing, hopefully they are growing more trees, and I'm pretty sure they are. So wood is a sustainable material, and it's also low-tech material. It's just us, a bunch of blokes and women have built this thing with no fantastic technology, a few saws and chisels and a couple of bent spoons, and so it's a nice material for communities to build a boat from. Yeah, and it will last a long time, and it's easy to fix and repair. The boat could go off around the world. If it gets damaged, you can pull a plank out quite easily, you can replace it and carry on. It doesn't need, a wooden boat doesn't need technology, doesn't need modern harbours to look after it. You can literally drag it up on a beach and fix it and carry on. So there's a nice feeling of it being part of the environment more than some technological object that is despite the environment. We have been 2.5 years building this boat. A lot of it's been about training people in the process of building it. So 2.5 years, but we're launching at the end of February. And so we're getting the boat ready for the launch, sanding the deck, we'll get the anti-fouling on, make sure the sea cocks are in, and then we're getting a big crane in to lift her into the water, which is going to be very exciting. So by the time the boat, and then once the boat's in the water, we ballast it, put the mast in, get all the rigging done, and then by Easter we'll be sailing the boat, and then she'll start her life. So the next few months are going to be really quite exciting. Advice for young people starting out in boat building. Okay, if you like making things, boat building is very good. If you want a vocation that's rewarding on a sort of emotional level, more than a monetary level, then boat building is fantastic. But it is a hard life. It's a young person's life. If you want to build a boat, if you want to start a project, don't think about it, just start it. If you think about it, you won't do it. The economics of rebuilding or building a new boat are very difficult. I had to scrape money together and then do a bit of building and then go off and earn some more money and come back. And I think most people who have a passion about boat building don't have much money. The reward is creating something extremely beautiful that can take you around the world and be your home, which is a rather fantastic thing to make. The general public don't seem to understand them, but it is the most beautiful object made of wood. If you don't get the romance, then no point trying. It's either in you or not. And the extraordinary thing is that this boat, although the design and technology of building this boat is from 150 years ago, it's still relevant on the sea today. The sea hasn't changed. And so this boat performs on the water just as well today as it did 150, 200 years ago. And that's rather wonderful. You're basically making a time machine. Once you're out there on the boat, you and the boat are the world. Everything else disappears over the horizon. And so if you've got a boat that is of an era or of a romance, you're living that all the time you're at sea. And that's very beautiful.
Great. Should we wrap it up there?
Yeah.
That's a good place to end. Very poignantly.
I do talk a load of bollocks, don't I? Do talk a load of bollocks, but there you go.
As you've seen, they've done a huge amount of work here on the Pellew since last time I was here, and they're getting ready to launch, which will be on the 29th of February at 9 in the morning apparently. And although the yard will be closed, if you live in the area you can go to the other side of the river and watch the launch then. So it's very inspiring and exciting for me to see projects like this, and it's people like Luke that inspired me to get into boat building in the first place and to keep on with it. So that's all we have time for right now, but if you want to find out more about the Pellew and her upcoming charter season this summer, you can look up workingsail.co.uk or the falmouthpilotcutter.co.uk. I'll put the links in the description below the video. Now it just remains for me to say a massive thank you to the supporters of my project, the Tally Ho rebuild. Your generosity makes a huge difference and means I'm able to take the time to make and edit these videos, so I really appreciate it. Thank you. Now I was hoping to be back in the States and working on the Tally Ho again by now, but some complications have meant I've had to stay here just a little bit longer. But I'll be going back next week, so the next video should be returning to work on Tally Ho, which I'm really looking forward to. So I'll see you then. Cheers.